स्टार्ट हो गई? ओके रूम डिसेबल ना कर दी। ओके सर एंड रिकॉर्डिंग ओके सर ठीक है थैंक यू सर। Dear all, good morning to you all and welcome you all in this class today. Hope you are fine and working well, beta. As per beta our previous discussion, dear all, we were having the concept of alpha ray scattering experiment, beta. Rutherford's alpha ray scattering experiment rather. And beta after that we discussed that how we can calculate or how we can estimate rather the radius of the nucleus beta. After estimating the radius of the nucleus, dear children, we were having the impact parameter discussed as such. So sometimes with a very first question that is asked in the examination, that is either directly based upon the calculation or estimation of the radius of the nucleus, or sometimes with it is based upon the concept of the impact parameter itself. Maybe the definition, maybe some sort of a small calculation based problem may be also there with it. So dear all, we were to have the drawbacks of the Rutherford's model, and these drawbacks were further acting as the guiding path for the introduction of the Bohr's atomic model beta. So beta, let us have the drawbacks beta. Drawbacks of Rutherford's model of atom beta. These drawbacks beta, there were many points which the Rutherford's atomic model could not satisfy, and this further led to the development of the Bohr's model of atom beta. Very first point regarding the drawbacks was that beta, as we all have studied in our 11th standard also, that whenever an object is accelerated or whenever an object is moving in the circular track, maybe with even the uniform velocity, then what happens beta? Actually, due to the change in the direction at each and every instant along the circular track, the motion of the particle along the circular track is always accelerated. I mean to say that beta, imagine that this is the circular track, and we are considering this circular track as the orbit, and let us imagine that here this is the center called the nucleus of the atom. Dear all, once again, this is the central part called the nucleus of the atom. Electrons, they are revolving in the shells. I consider any one particular electron revolving in any one particular shell, maybe clockwise, maybe in the anti-clockwise sense beta. Then beta, small r, this is the radius of this circular track. Whenever we consider the circular motion of any object, it is always acted upon by this centripetal force called mv square by r. This is our centripetal force needed for the motion of the particle along the circular track. Dear all, you might be knowing that F is equal to m into A. If I have the comparison of these two equations, I will be saying that m into A, it is m into V square by R. M will get cancelled over here, and dear students, A is equal to V square by R. This A is very important over here, because this A is not simple acceleration, but it is the centripetal acceleration beta. So centripetal acceleration in this case, that is in the case when the electron it is revolving around the nucleus either in the clockwise sense or in the anti-clockwise sense, it will possess centripetal acceleration to be equal to v square by r. You can well imagine that the motion, this is accelerated one. Here, classical electrodynamics or classical mechanics, it has one important point related to this centripetal acceleration, that whenever the motion is accelerated, there is definitely loss of energy. When this particle, when this electron, it will be possessing some acceleration, it is expected to lose energy. And dear all, when the energy will be lost in the centripetal force around the nucleus in the circular track, then as the energy is constantly decreasing, energy available with the electron rather, then what classical mechanics or classical electrodynamics states is that due to the continuous loss, this electron it should not be moving in an orbit of fixed radius, but due to the continuous loss it should follow a spiral path, and ultimately it should fall on the nucleus itself. And this indirectly means that the existence of the atom, existence of the atom, then when the electron will fall on the nucleus, then how the atom can exist? Matter cannot exist. So the first drawback the Rutherford's model of atom was suffering from is that it cannot explain, rather it could not explain the existence of the atom as well as the nucleus itself. So because in our daily life, in our routine life, we see so many objects around us, and these all objects are made up of atoms and molecules and all that. So dear students, because matter exists, atoms exist, then here the existence is unjustified on the basis of classical mechanics or classical rather electrodynamics. So this was the first drawback. Now briefly once again repeating the same point. The first drawback of the Rutherford's model of atom was that it could not explain the existence of the atom as such, because when the electron will be having accelerated motion around the nucleus, it is expected to lose energy according to the classical electrodynamics. These facts and figures just indicate you about the magnitude of the centripetal acceleration and all that. So what we expect is that matter should not exist, and it is wrong. So this is the first drawback. It could not explain the existence of matter as such. Dear all, second point, second drawback. This is regarding the setup of the spectrum. We sometimes talk about the spectrum. Spectrum mean, what do the term spectrum mean? Spectrum indicates the possible wavelengths present in the energy emitted by the particular jump of the electron from the higher to the lower level. Dear all, when the electron or the atom, it jumps from the higher state to the lower state, then that jump is accompanied by the emission of some energy. And when the energy is emitted, energy is definitely in the form of some wavelength, in the form of some frequency, and that wavelength and that frequency, it is noted, it is plotted rather and that plot or that node, that is called with a spectrum. Now over here, according to this concept, according to the existing concept beta, I can say that energy E, this is equal to H into nu. And nu, it is well known to you to be equal to C by lambda. I just substitute it. E is equal to HC by lambda, and beta lambda is equal to H into C upon E. Beta, you can all then see that lambda is inversely dependent upon energy. Previously, we have just said that there is continuous loss of energy on the basis of classical electrodynamics. Listen very carefully. When the energy will be decreasing continuously, then possibly all the wavelengths ranging from some lower value to the higher value, these are expected to be present in the spectrum of the atom. I should rather write atomic spectrum. So dear all, energy continuously decreasing, lambda continuously increasing. The word continuous is very important. Continuous word indicates that beta, the all wavelengths must be present in the spectrum. So what I expect is that if I plot all the wavelengths, so these all wavelengths should be in this manner present in the spectrum. But actually it doesn't happen. We, when observe the hydrogen spectrum, it is a single line, and even some of the other atoms, they are indicating the single line beta. So beta, in this case, we can say that beta, the atomic spectra of the simple as well as some of the higher atoms, that is not well explained on the basis of the Rutherford's model of atom, and these two drawbacks, these led to the further progress for the development of the higher models for the discussion of the atom as such. So these two drawbacks, these further led to the development of the Bohr's model of atom. So let me introduce now Bohr's model of atom. What Bohr's model of atom says, what are the important postulates of Bohr's model of atom, and how we can make use of Bohr's model of atom for the calculation of the radius. And there is one important term called fine structure constant beta, and still there is another very important aspect regarding the velocity of the electron in the orbit, and there is still another important aspect called the energy of the electron in the orbit and all that. Let us have Bohr's model of atom. Basically, the drawbacks of the Rutherford's model are our guiding path. Here, Bohr suggested that almost all the positive charge and entire mass of the atom is concentrated at the center of the atom called nucleus. So nucleus, this was given in the very first postulate by Bohr. Secondly, Bohr said that when the electrons are revolving in the circular track, anything moving in the circular track, that needs centripetal force, and that centripetal force, as we all know, that is provided by the Coulomb's force of attraction between the central positively charged nucleus and the outer revolving negatively charged electron. So beta, we can say that according to this second postulate, the electrons revolve around the nucleus, and the necessary centripetal force is provided by Coulomb's force. Coulomb's attractive force कह देता हूं, attractive force बेटे. So dear students, Coulomb's force, you all know that F is equal to K Q1 Q2 upon R square, centripetal force mv square by R. I can even write that this is the centripetal force, mass of the electron, square of the velocity of the electron, radius of the orbit, and F Coulomb, इसको ऐसे ही लिख देता हूं, it will be K E into E upon R का square. I am not taking the sign for the electron. This is just the magnitude. So this centripetal force, this is provided by this particular Coulomb's force of attraction between the central nucleus. For hydrogen atom, I am talking over here. And third point, this is a very important point. This point rather indicates us that when the electrons are revolving around the nucleus, as per our classical electrodynamics concept, where we said that it must lose energy, continuous loss of energy we were talking about. Here Bohr in violation, मैं repeat कर रहा हूँ dear children, this postulate is the violation of the concepts of the classical mechanics, and here he said that electron does not lose energy, it revolves in the orbits of the fixed energies, and these orbits, stationary states, these orbits were called stationary states by Bohr. Again repeating that point, Bohr assumed, it was not the fact, neither it was correct, and furthermore it violated, at that time it violated the concept of classical electrodynamics, that the electron will not lose energy. Electron actually was losing energy. That is why some good scholars, they call it as ad hoc postulate. Dear ad hoc postulate, what do we mean by ad hoc postulate? When our theory is ahead of the actual happening, then we assume that, or rather we get confirmation that this particular thing, it might be happening in this manner, but we have not seen that happening in that manner. So we on the mathematical basis conclude the result earlier than the physical development of the concept, and that is called ad hoc postulate. In this case, in the third point, in the third postulate suggested by Bohr, he said that electron is not at all revolving in the energy level where the energy is continuously decreasing, but he, in violation with the concept of the electrodynamics, introduced the ad hoc postulate about the stationary states, saying that electron revolves in the orbit having fixed energy. So here the fixed energy levels or the energy states, these were called stationary states. This is very important postulate suggested by Bohr. Then dear children, after this concept, I have even a fourth postulate. Let me have the introduction of that postulate also. Fourth postulate, it states us about the Bohr's quantization condition. Let us have this Fourth postulate is Bohr's quantization condition. Sometimes CBSE or your other boards, they simply ask one question for 1 mark, that what do we mean by Bohr quantization condition? Write it in the mathematical form. Dear all, Bohr suggested in his postulate that when the electron is revolving around the nucleus, imagine that this is the nucleus and this is the orbit in which the electron is revolving. Bohr said that, beta, uh, let small r be the radius of this orbit in which your electron is revolving. Bohr said that electron can revolve only in those orbits for which angular momentum is integral multiple of h upon 2 pi. What does this all mean? Let me explain this thing to you. According to this concept, dear children, Bohr said that when the electron is revolving in this orbit, it must be possessing some angular momentum L. And this angular momentum in our 11th standard, we have already calculated the result in a nice manner, that it is equal to m into v into r. Here Bohr said that this angular momentum L, it should be integral multiple of h upon 2 pi. Then what he said further, this can be said rather that mvr, it is n into h upon 2 pi. This condition, beta, this is termed as Bohr quantization condition. You can well see that angular momentum in numerical or in mathematical terms, how it is linked with h cross you study in your chemistry subject, that is h over 2 pi. So angular momentum, if it is integral multiple of h upon 2 pi, only then electron will revolve, otherwise it will not do so. Fifth postulate regarding the Bohr's model of atom, beta. Let me have the last and the fifth postulate. Dear students, we say that electron is revolving in the orbit around the nucleus, and these orbits are for our convenience considered to be circular in nature. May or may not be, but we consider that it is revolving in the circular orbits, beta. Imagine that, beta, this is the first circular orbit, this is the second circular orbit, and dear students, A center is indicating the nucleus. This is the nucleus, this is a first energy level, this is a second energy level. Now what Bohr said is that when the electron will jump from higher to the lower state, this is the higher state, this is to the lower state, it will emit energy in the form of radiations. And this energy, this is going to be equal to the difference of the energies of the two levels with it. So dear, E is equal to E2, energy of the higher level, and E1, energy of the lower level. E can be written as H into nu or H into C by lambda I1. This is equal to your E2 minus E1. In the fifth postulate, what Bohr said is that, beta, when we talk about the electron and the electron is jumping from the higher state to the lower state, energy will be given out. And when the electron will jump from the lower to the higher state, energy is needed by the electron. Energy has to be given to the electron to jump to the higher energy level. So these are the 5 prominent postulates of Bohr's model of atom. And after that, beta, we apply the concept of Bohr's model of atom in calculating the atomic radius, rather the velocity of the electron in the orbital path and all that bit. So let me come up with the application of this model of atom beta, Bohr's model of atom. How do we apply this in calculating the radius of the atom beta? So let us have beta. First application of Bohr's atomic model is regarding the atomic radius. To calculate, first is beta, to find the radius of hydrogen atom. This is rather the application of your so-called Bohr's model of atom. We want to apply Bohr's model of atom in calculating the radius of the atom, rather hydrogen atom. Hydrogen atom, it possesses only one nucleus at the center having one proton, and only one electron is revolving around the nucleus. I mean to say that let us consider this to be the nucleus, and let us consider that here electron revolves around this nucleus in this manner. Single proton is there at the center, single electron is revolving. So imagine this is the electron revolving around the nucleus, and let R naught just to indicate or differentiate this radius from the general radii of the atoms. Charge on the proton, this is equal to again E. According to Bohr's model of atom, these two charged particles, they have attractive force that is equal to 1 by 4 pi epsilon naught. Q1, this is E. Q2, this is minus E upon square of the radius, or the distance between the two particles, or the charges rather. This can be written as K in order to minimize the mathematical figures. So K, and this is E square upon R square. This is just magnitude wise. I am leaving this sign. Magnitude of the Coulomb's force between these two charged particles, proton at the nucleus and the electrons in the outermost orbit. This is given by this equation. I may call this as equation number 1. Then dear students, over here centripetal force needed F, this is equal to mv square by r also. This is the centripetal force that your electron must possess in order to move in the circular orbit. So over here, because we have considered this distance to be equal to r naught, I may have to replace this by r naught. Now what I do is that I just equate these two equations. On having the two equations as such, I will be having mv square upon r naught for this centripetal force. This is equal to k e square upon r naught complete square. R naught single power, R naught 2 power, 1 R naught will be cancelled. I am left with mv square. This is equal to k e square by R naught. This is the first expression I am getting for my calculations I have just performed. Now, dear students, let me focus with another important concept regarding Bohr's quantization condition. Bohr's quantization condition. Dear all, this condition states that MBR, this is integral multiple of h upon 2 pi. What I can do now, I can calculate V from this equation, and later on I will substitute it over here. Let us have this. V NH upon 2 pi, take this M and R on the right hand side. This is how I calculate V. Now, my further calculation involves substitution of this value of V from this equation in this equation. And let me substitute. And let us have beta how we can have this furthermore. Uh, let us beta have this further solved as such beta. In this case, when I substitute these values beta, let us see what I get beta. I will be having this expression modified. Let me rather modify this. This is M V. V is your NH upon 2 pi M and R. So this is NH upon 2 pi M and R. Substituted. There is the square term over here also. I just make the square of this term. This is K on the right hand side, and E square upon R naught as such. This must be R naught, this one, because we are talking about hydrogen atom. That's why this is R naught. Let us make the square of this equation. I will have M, this is beta, N square, H square, 4 pi square, M square, R naught square. This is dear equal to K E square upon R naught. You can well see R naught square, single R naught. जो cancel हो रही हैं terms, let us cancel these out. We want to get this R naught calculated. R naught. I will shift this R naught to that side and this factor to this side beta. So beta I will have R naught. This is equal to this one M is also gone. Here is M square, single power of M, one power will get adjusted. So what I will have with me, I will shift this R naught to the right hand side. This is N square and this is H square. This is N square H square divided by beta 4 pi square M K and E square. So you can well see that beta, this is the radius of the atom, rather hydrogen atom, based upon the considerations of Bohr's model of atom. So Bohr's model of atom beta, after substituting these values beta, we can say that beta, just if we substitute these values, let us have this calculated further. What I can do more regarding this is that beta, N, this is equal to 1. N is equal to 1 for your hydrogen atom. This is now for H atom. So N is equal to 1. Dear all, H is Planck's constant. I hope that you all might be knowing the value of this beta H, and this H is nothing but 6.625 10 raised power minus 34 joule seconds beta. And then see there pi is well known to everyone. This is 3.14, or you can take it to be 22/7 also. M, mass of the electron, 9.1 10 raised power minus 31 kg. Dear all, E, this is equal to 1.6 10 raised power minus 19 coulomb. This is whole data to be substituted in this equation, and we will definitely get that R naught. I'm just writing the answer after calculations. This is 0.53 angstroms beta. So dear students, you can well imagine how small this quantity is. The radius of the atom very, 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 very small, especially in case of hydrogen atom. In order to have this idea in mind, I can write this in meters also beta. This is 0.53 10 raised power minus 10 meters. This can even be modified as 53 10 raised power minus 12 meters beta. So beta, you can well see, well imagine that hydrogen atom, it is not having very large dimensions, beta, considerable and small dimensions it is having in terms of radius. So beta, this is how the Bohr's model of atom, it is quite helpful for us in estimating or in calculating the radius of the hydrogen atom. Dear all, after this video, my second point, second application based upon the concept of Bohr's model of atom is calculating the velocity of the electron beta in the hydrogen atom. So let me proceed with the calculation of the velocity of the electron in hydrogen atom beta. Let us focus upon this study further. Uh, Dear students, you are required to have this concept solved once or twice on your rough notebook so that a little bit of mathematical concept is involved in this that may be all very much clear to you. So try at least once or twice this particular calculation, this particular analytical calculation rather bit. So second point with me, second application of Bohr's model of atom beta, it is regarding the velocity of electron in hydrogen atom. Beta, regarding the velocity of the electron in the hydrogen atom, I will be beginning with Bohr's quantization condition once again. Dear all, Bohr's quantization condition, what does it convey? This is MBR NH upon 2 pi. This is our Bohr's quantization condition. And when we talk about hydrogen atom, we just substitute this R naught just to differentiate. V, this is the parameter we need. This is equal to NH upon 2 pi SH M and R naught. So R naught, I have kept the expression with me because I needed it over here. So I will be substituting this R naught in this place and I will get the velocity. Let us see. So V, this is equal to NH upon, this is 2 pi M SH. Let us substitute this R naught, N square H square divided by 4 pi square M K E square beta. Now you can see well, double power, single power, one power is gone and mass getting cancelled, ye getting cancelled, getting rather divided. Let us modify this expression. V, adjustment of the terms will give us 2 pi square K E square upon NH. This is the velocity of the electron in hydrogen orbit without any doubt. But dear all, I want to introduce the concept of fine structure constant alpha over here through the medium of this discussion. So for that, let me have a little bit modification with this result once again. I can write that V, see the way I am trying to write it. This is 1 by N, separating this N, A as such, K as such, without any change. Then dear, this is your E square. It is there present, divided by H. This pi is also gone, bete. This is single pi. And this is bete H. I am shifting this pi, rather 2 pi in the denominator in this manner. You can see, I am breaking down this expression into this format. What further I can do? Let us see. I just multiply by velocity of light and divide by velocity of light. I will have B to be equal to C by N into K, and here dear all, this is E square upon H upon 2 pi into C. This whole